He even offered to fly up there to complete this transaction. So he has gone over and above to try to buy this vehicle. And you all, whoever your team is, was not satisfied with 3 loans, with him flying out there to secure this car. You all just decided that you didn't want to deal with him anymore. He went over and above to try to buy this car. You all just turned him down and denied him every time. Absolutely. Please sit down and don't be nervous. This isn't federal court. This is the people's court.
So the basic facts are in the petition that I filed. So on or about August 6th, 2025, the defendant listed a vehicle for sale for $12,926. They then reduced the price to $10,600 on August 7th, and then reduced it further to $8,999 on August 12th. On August 16th, I contacted them about the vehicle. I paid a $500 deposit, and I had the vehicle sent to a mechanic to have it inspected. On August 18th, we entered into a signed purchase order for the sale of the vehicle with the VIN number that's identified in the case, and they promised to deliver the vehicle for a $700 delivery fee that was built into that purchase order. So at that point, I started getting financing. I went through Randolph Brooks Federal Credit Union first. Ultimately, after getting approved for that loan, they didn't want to accept that loan because RBFCU and Texas banks would require that the title be cleared and sent over to them, and then they make the payment for the vehicle. This is a dealership in Indiana, and so they're used to getting like the payment immediately, and then the title stuff just kind of happens on the back end, but their payment's not held up based on that. So I apologize if that's not, but that's kind of the way they explained to me that they didn't like going through that bank. They just didn't explain it clearly at that point because I went through a second Texas bank. And when I went through the second Texas bank, that's when we had the same red flag again. At that point, I contacted that Texas bank and I applied for a personal loan so that there would be no lien holder. And at that point, there would be no delay in them receiving the funds. Despite being approved for all 3 of those loans, ultimately the dealership did not sell me the vehicle. They refused to take the payment and they went into breach of contract. So once they breached the contract, then I started researching the vehicle so that I could find a cover vehicle. And I found in the law that the cover vehicle is supposed to be fairly comparable. It doesn't have to be identical, but it's supposed to be like a very close match. And so I started researching to find a cover vehicle, found that its actual value would be between $14,000 and $15,000. The vehicle I found that was the closest match I could find, I was able to get for $14,000, I believe $990. I'll be honest, I really want to like ask them questions before I go through everything in the case. Is that possible to do?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So
he has some questions for you.
I guess first, who specifically am I talking to and what is your role at the dealership?
My name is Sarah and I'm in the finance department.
Okay. I do remember speaking to you quite often, Sarah. All right. So
yeah, I think
do you agree that the vehicle was listed on or about August 6th?
It was listed on August 5th.
Okay. So that would be about, that's pretty close. All right. What was the list price?
$12,926.
And did I pay the deposit for the vehicle?
You paid a down payment of $500 for the vehicle.
Okay. And why was the vehicle not sold to me?
In Indiana, like you stated, we go through proper channels of the lender or lien holder. We get the money from them, and then we proceed in the title paperwork. Unfortunately, in Texas, it's different there. We cannot release a title or a vehicle in any amount without getting funds first. We held your down payment for over the amount of days that we can, and ultimately it did not work out. So we refunded your down payment back to you on the 27th of August.
So when you say you held it past the number of days you're allowed to hold it, what is that number of days specifically, and where does that come from?
Well, it's our policy. We hold it a week.
So you hold it for 1 week.
And then it's up to my owner's discretion. Yes, we hold it for 1 week, and it's up to my owner's discretion if he wants to move forward with the deal or not. It is a privately owned business, so it is at his discretion.
And can you explain how his discretion worked in this? Go ahead.
Yes, our discretion was it was past 5 days. We held your payment for 11 days. refunded it back to you once we gave you multiple opportunities to get the money to us after explaining how Indiana works. And since payment was not secured, we released your money back to you, and that was it.
Okay, when you say that I did not secure financing, what specifically do you mean by that?
I didn't say you didn't secure financing. I said we did not get the funds to release the vehicle.
Did I offer to pay you with those funds?
You offered to get a loan. Yes, that is what
Did I ever tell you I had already secured the loan and that I was already trying to make the payment and y'all refused to accept it?
Which time?
When I got the personal loan. That was the second bank, but it was not a vehicle loan. It was a personal loan, which meant that there was no lien holder.
Right. You still needed the title, and you still needed the title, which we could not give to you.
That is not correct. If it's and I explained that at the time, if it's a personal loan, there's no lien holder. If there's no lien holder, nobody's expecting title before payment is due. That was specifically the reason why I got the personal loan, was so that we could continue to move forward. And the first transparency, this is from Shamel Shipman. She works at that bank, and you'll notice it comes from her work email address. And I asked her further down if she could please confirm and put her own words onto the loan situation. And then she says, Jonathan Boykin inquired about an auto loan from Austin Bank on August 25th, 2025, after the regional bank was not able to finalize the loan. We approved the auto loan on August 26th. So if you'll go near the back, at the top it says, I spoke to my GM again, and he said, we need to refund your money. Unfortunately, cannot proceed. Wait any longer. Give us a call. I told him I spoke to Sam. I was able to do a personal loan and pay for the title. It wasn't an issue. Or if your bank won't have an issue, I could go with that loan because they have their own lender, and they were trying to push me to use their lender. He said he was checking with your bank. I said, I know the personal loan won't have any more title issues, and the bank is already processing that, so we'll be able to do what needs to be done. So I'm letting them know that I already have this personal loan. Then she says, at this time, we cannot move forward, and we'll refund your $500. Send me a pic of your card, and it will be refunded. So I'm making it very clear to them that I have the ability, I'm ready, willing, and able to pay, and they are now breaching the contract. I offered to fly up there. I offered to deliver a check in person if I had to. I mean.
Okay, so, and I have a question. In the original contract, does it say anything about basically that this contract is based on approval of loan from?
No, ma'am. So, but this is also the document in their response to the court that they said was not a contract. And if you look at this, you'll see that it refers to itself as a contract in many places.
I wanted to say that when we post vehicles online, we don't post them to hold them. We did that as a favor. We kept in contact with Mr. Boykin. And then, unfortunately, because the first lien on the vehicle, which was Randolph Brooks Federal Credit Union, fell through, there was another lien. And let me state
Hold on,
too.
let me stop you right there. Ma'am, let me stop you right there. Randolph Brooks did not fall through. You all just wouldn't accept it. There's a big difference.
No. Randolph Brooks fell through because they needed the title. So Indiana doesn't, we can't give the title nor the vehicle without the funds.
Well, if Texas banks work that way, why do you do business in Texas? It doesn't make sense. Do you tell your customers that up front, that you will not approve financing from banks in Texas, however you're doing business in Texas? It makes absolutely no sense to me. He did get a personal loan. And then he even let y'all know that he would even go up there and give you a check. So he did everything he could to buy this vehicle, and you all just didn't want to.
When did he say that he could?
Yeah.
The text messages? There's text messages. Can you go to that text message again? Where were we?
That was in AMS Cars 3. It was in section C is the text messages, and it's on the one that says AMS Cars 3. It's like 4th, 5th page from the back, somewhere around there.
Okay. So in his text messages, it even says he would fly out there. So it's just like you, and then you represented the vehicle also, and every website it's different, saying there was an accident, there wasn't accidents. So it was very misrepresented, very sloppy at best.
And so when you're looking at the website, when you're furthest away from the car, the things that would be harder to tell the car either does or doesn't have, those inaccuracies are on their website. when you're looking at the car in person and looking at their sticker, the only thing that's wrong is the trim level. Most people wouldn't even know which trim level a vehicle is, with the exception of maybe the Prius 4, because it's the one that has like more bells and whistles. And then they have the original manufacturer sticker that's attached to their website, which has no errors because it's the manufacturer sticker. So they are correct that that's there. But the thing that you have to click the furthest in to see is the one that's correct. And then the thing that they present forward-facing on the website is this one that has all of these inaccuracies.
While you were speaking about that, I did find the text message where it says that you would fly up there. It's Tuesday, August the 26th at 11:33 a.m. There are some messages, and AMS Cars is basically saying, I'm going to refund your $500. The plaintiff is saying it's clearly a breach of contract. He just changed his mind, blah, blah, blah. And you go down, and then it says, however, he decided that after we signed a purchase order, I even offered to fly up there to complete the transaction. So to me, that isn't operating in good faith to complete the deal we started. So he did offer to fly up there to get this thing done. Did you offer him any other financing other than what he was doing? I mean, obviously he was trying to buy this car. He secured two different financing
They did offer
options.
They did offer for me to go through their bank. I did apply with their bank. Their bank ended up declining me. I'm not even really sure why, because I ultimately ended up getting approved with like every other bank for numbers like 16,000 or more. So I'm guessing I might have misentered an income number, or they were being very selective about something that I just don't understand. But their bank that they normally work with sent me a declined letter. And I got that in the mail after all of this had already fallen apart. So I was kind of surprised to get that. I don't know if they got that before I did. But even then, I secured a personal loan. So, I mean, I wasn't really even worried about what happened with that bank, because I could fly up there and give them a check if I had to, or I could mail them the check, or I could do whatever needed to be done to just finish the transaction.
So you all just didn't want to work with him because he tried everything that I know of to try.
We did get him approved through one of our financing companies.
Okay, did you ever extend that to
I'm sorry?
him? This is the first he's ever heard of it.
Absolutely. No, and he
How
would have
did you
got a letter
extend it?
too.
He said the only letter he received was one that declined him.
I submitted our community-wide federal credit union approved him, and he did not want to pay that rate. He wanted to secure his own finance.
I was never told that I was approved for any of these. Every time I offered to make a payment, I was told that they weren't going to accept that and that they were going to move on. And the reason why I think that they did that is because ultimately, right after they broke the deal with me, they relisted the car for more money, a higher price.
How was he?
We did everything, Judge. We held his money for, I mean, we held the vehicle for as long as we could. And according to the owner, it's his dealership at his discretion. And if he doesn't want to work with someone, we don't have to work with them.
Why wasn't that the offer instead of breaching the contract? I mean, at that point, even if they were correct, why wasn't the offer, use this loan that we know will work, or we don't think that we can make this deal work? Like, why wasn't it phrased that way instead?
A good question.
Price manipulation for profit. Like, after they didn't sell the car to me, they relisted it for more money, immediately relisted it for more money. So when he talks about like what's essentially their boilerplate disclaimer, I addressed that in the petition that I actually filed that they've had since December. And so that paragraph reads, although defendant includes a general disclaimer on its website stating that errors may occur regarding trim level options or other details, such disclaimers are intended to cover isolated clerical mistakes, not repeated and contradictory misrepresentations that lead to materially false advertising practices.
Hey, I have Sam, the owner, here on the phone as well too. He would like to talk.
Is Sam the owner or is he the manager?
Owner.
Good morning, Sam.
Hey, good morning, Judge. My name is Bhupinder Sodhi. I also go with the name Sam. From day one till I think day 12, if they can tell me, we tried to acquire the loan for this vehicle on our side. We took the credit application, submitted, Plus, also there was a bank that was willing to fund us, but they wanted to do the title work before the money was released. So basically, on an out-of-state deal, when we do deals like this, we payment and hold the vehicle. We do not entertain any other leads on the vehicle. Finally, when it was coming close, when the banks were not doing anything, I was informed that we are unable to proceed with the banks what we should do, and he said he is going to go with a personal loan. But his obligation was to give us the money so that we can finalize that bill of sale. Whatever was in bill of sale, we finalize it, we ship it, we do the title work, so it's his car. Unfortunately, 1 day passed, 2 days passed, and this is the third or fourth day. We were unable to get those wires. I spoke to him. I said, this is what happened, and I'm very sorry, and we have to put this car back on the market. So after talking to him, he voluntarily said, okay, me and him talked, and he said, okay, I'll give you my credit card so you can refund me the money.
A minute ago, you said that I gave you my credit card information so that you could do the refund. But the way you phrased it, it sounds as though you're saying that I was agreeing to the refund. Is that what you're intending to say and communicate?
Yes.
Okay. So as you recall,
He was aware that I'm returning down payment.
on the phone conversation that we had with each other, if I offered to pay you during that conversation, wouldn't it have been easier and better to take the money from me than to relist the vehicle? But you did say if on that day I made that offer, that would have been beneficial.
Offer was not a question. You was provided the bank instructions, and you was told to wire is coming, wire never made it to that point.
I have some issues with this. Number one, you did sign a bill of sale, a contract with Mr. Jonathan Boykin.
That is part. That is a normal motion. Yes.
Yes. No, okay. So, and there's three of them because there were different. Well, this is Randolph Brooks, and he does have an email from the bank stating that he did get the loan secured, and you weren't happy with that. But on the bill of sale, he also had another loan secured with Austin Bank, and then he did get a personal loan. So he got three different loans for this particular vehicle. The other, and in these bills of sale, when I'm reading them, it doesn't have anything that states subject to financing approval. Mr. Broken was not, hold on, Mr. Broken was not given any kind of knowledge or any kind of awareness that that he had to get a particular loan that had to do certain things, because nothing is set out in this bill of sale, in this contract. There is nothing set out that says, this vehicle is going to be sold as is, subject to financing approval. Now, he had three different approvals in the email, or not emails, but the texts that I've read from August the 25th at 11:33 a.m. He was texting back and forth with your company. I don't know exactly who he was talking to, but there were text messages back and forth. And he even says, I will fly out there. He wanted to fly. I even offered to fly up there to complete this transaction. So he has gone over and above to try to buy this vehicle. And you all, whoever your team is, was not satisfied with three loans, was not satisfied with him flying out there to secure this car. You all just decided that you didn't want to deal with him anymore. So he went over and above to try to buy this car, and you all just turned him down and denied him every time. So nothing that you all are telling the court makes a lot of sense to me. It's common sense that, yes, you want to sell a car. You're doing business in Texas. There are three, he got two Texas banks and a personal loan. And none of it's good enough, but it doesn't say that in the contract, that it's subject to, selling the car is subject to financing approval.
I have impeachment evidence. So he said that I willingly accepted the refund. and that if I had made an offer to try to buy the vehicle, that would have been good. Both Texas and Indiana law are one-party consent states, so I recorded our last phone conversation, and in that phone call, you'll hear that Sam refers to he's being told, like that someone above him is telling him that he has to sell the car to somebody else. He'll repeat over and over again that they can't wait any longer. That's why they're going to sell it to whoever comes first. I tell him multiple times that I'm the one that has the contract.
Hold on, he's not done yet.
I'm the one that has the contract and I have the ability to pay, and that if they just finish the transaction with me, that would be faster. At one point, I'll tell them that I've already offered to fly out there. I offered to pay with a personal loan. Every time that they say that they're going to refund me, you're going to hear me say that, I don't know why I forgot the legal term, but I tell them that I'm accepting under protest because they're breaching the contract, and I wanted to make sure it was very clear that even though they're giving me the money back, that was not going to be a settlement action. So I'm constantly saying this under protest. Sam will say on multiple occasions that I have legal rights and I can take legal action if I want to. And so it's all queued up, and all you have to do is hit the space bar, and it's a 10-minute long phone call.
Oh, gosh.
I'm so sorry.
Okay. Did you hear him? He said he spoke to you and that he has a 10-minute long recorded phone call with you and Mr. Boykin. Would you like to hear that recording? Or do you remember the conversation?
Honorable Judge, may I say, I do recall talking to him. However, as far as recording goes, I'm unaware of recording, and if that is done, I'm not a legal counsel, but I can really assure you that as per Indiana laws, any phone call conversation to be recorded has to be declared to the other party according to the Indiana laws. Texas laws do not apply to me, or the whole deal. Indiana law does apply. I went on the phone call unknowingly that it is recorded. However, under Indiana law, I did everything. And unfortunately, those were not met. And I will happily bring those lien holders or the potential lien holders on the case. But regarding the whole process, there was no intention not to sell this vehicle. We did our due diligence, but we were unable to get the money in order to fulfill the requirements of the bill of sale owner.
Did he give you wiring instructions to wire the money?
So there were wiring instructions, and those were given to the bank. I mean, I have the wire instructions, but if they're telling me they're not going to finish the deal, there's no reason to send them thousands of dollars if they're ultimately going to. I mean, at that point, they still had $500 of my money, and I didn't know if I was actually going to see that back. Now, they did return it the next day, but, I'm not going to just wire this massive amount of money without them agreeing, yes. And even then, I would have rather flown up with the check instead of just wiring the money, because at that point, I started getting kind of antsy, because if they're going to tell me they're not going to do the deal, I'd rather hand them the check and drive off with the car. But I mean, there was no opportunity to wire. And in this phone conversation, which happens the day after that, this is on the 27th, I tell him that I could have paid him yesterday and that they wouldn't accept it. And he acknowledges that they wouldn't accept it. And he just keeps saying that they can't wait any longer.
What I'm saying is when you actually secured your personal loan,
they were telling me that they weren't going to
accept it. So at that point, you didn't want to send it because you didn't know if you were going to get the car. So move forward, though, you had those two bank loans that they would not accept. And then whenever you were getting your personal loan, that's when they were saying, well, it's too late. I'm not going to accept any money from you. And you could have wired it then. And then when you spoke to him on the 27th, he's telling you, well, we wouldn't have accepted it.
That's my objection to them initially telling me that they're going to move on but I have this personal loan that I can finalize the transaction with. Yeah. And then they just keep saying no, they waited too long.
All right.
It's not us who are not accepting the terms, it's the lien holder obligations regarding to those two approvals or denials. because when we do that, then lien holder is the one who's going to get the title, not the customer. However, on the third instance, when personal loan was applied, personal loan is just buying out cash. It does not have to be a loan because there's no collateral to the loan. On my final conversation, I told him, sir, it's been a long time getting back and forth. I understand you worked hard. We worked hard too. It's not that we didn't want those banks to. We were unable to fulfill the banks or whatever happened. And the dealership was not at fault from day one. Also, I can involve Secretary of State during the whole conversation that all Indiana laws were followed. There is a bunch of paperwork. We have
We're
to
in
keep it for 3
Texas.
years.
We're not in Indiana. Maybe you know what? I'm sorry to interject, but if you're selling in Texas, maybe you should tell your customers who are buying from Texas the different protocols that they're going to have to go through and say, your Texas banks, we cannot accept. So maybe someone should be schooled and let people know that when you buy things from Texas or get Texas banks involved, it's a different, and you're not going to accept it because he went through a lot of trouble securing 3 loans not to get the vehicle. So I'm going to go ahead and stop you there. I've heard enough about the case. The award is going to be for $6,000, awarding the plaintiff. Well, that's my ruling of the court. You all have the right to appeal. Okay, so y'all may be excused. You have 21 days to appeal. Everybody has 21 days to appeal. Both sides.
Can I be able to hang up now?
Yes. Everybody. Good luck.
Can I be able to?
Good luck, everybody.
Thank you, Sarah.
I cannot give you any legal advice,
That's fine.
but you did an amazing job. I just did not find that they were fraudulent. I think they were a little negligent, but not fraudulent.